What started out as business as usual at this council meeting in the city of Johannesburg slowly turned into what the DA-led administration labelled as a kangaroo court. Shortly after lunch, the EFF disrupted process in council chambers by means of a song and a dance, calling for the attention of the House to raise an issue with the Speaker. The issue at hand was the 11.1 million rand commitment by the City of Johannesburg to the NGO, which the Mayor had supported for many years in his capacity as chairman of this NGO. The EFF was clearly not happy with the process followed in the awarding of this commitment from the City of Johannesburg. They held up placards, one of them read, "Pay back the money." And they called on the Mayor to answer as to why he made this commitment, citing his earlier rhetoric of fighting corruption, saying that he exercised a certain degree of undue influence in making this decision to support this particular NGO.
We are not going to even listen to you. We are only going to listen to Herman Mashaba accounting on the left and the MMC. No wonder she left.
I operate as a public servant in a transparent, open platforms. I don't really run issues in dark alleys and corners. This particular matter that they're referring to, last February, we only went on our first mayoral budget where various departments were presenting to the executive around their plans and the challenges being faced by their respective departments. Social department in particular, and I think it's something that I have evidence of where our communities are faced with massive challenges of drugs and related challenges, child-headed homes and so forth. And then obviously I think people coming out with ideas on how we can counteract this scourge, this challenge that is destroying our youth. I then related to them about an NGO that I chaired and I was associated for many years, my family and my businesses being one of the big contributors to this foundation. I said indicated to them what this organization does, the interventions that this organization has had a positive impact on this youth. And this particular organization does not work with ordinary kids. If you look at the profile of the kids that are involved, these are kids coming from broken families, more than 50% of their parents unemployed and so forth. We're not really working with kids from the sentence of this world. We're working with kids from this organization works with kids from very deprived communities. I then indicate to them, including the involvement of the Department of Arts and Culture and other municipalities. And I've requested them to say, as part of the intervention, please look at this particular organization, if it can be one of the organizations we can use to assist us in getting the youth. And us as the City of Johannesburg having 7 regions, says if we can have a region, because with this projects we have up to 150 kids in one project. So I've asked the MMC and the department to go and investigate and then come back to us and see if this would really be appropriate. And obviously some months later, that's when they brought a report to council after engaging the department, really been excited. And this report is there in the mayoral committee, where the department was actually completely convinced in terms of this organization being an appropriate vehicle for intervention, because they've got the evidence of the success of the Philbin Foundation.
Councillor Palazzi, MMC Palazzi, just deposed an affidavit now. Why would she find it necessary to go and depose an affidavit if ever this thing is not hot potato? The fact of the matter is that they were in the budget panel. He proposed that, look, there's an NGO that can help you. And we know that the NGO's got no capacity. They say so themselves, that they've got no capacity in the drug rehabilitations. And then they were asked to submit. After 93 applications of NGOs have been rejected for lack of money, because it was close to the mayor's heart.
The department tabled a report. It was a Q1 report that 93 NGOs had applied, and those 93 NGOs were declined because they did not meet or they did not have the expertise. We received a report that the city has came into partnership with Field Band Foundation. And that partnership, what made us to be interested in this partnership, it is because processes were not followed. So this one was appointed. They did not go through the process of other NGOs. Then we were interested, part of the scrutiny and oversight, to say, why this NGO? We then did a research. We even Googled the owners and the people within the NGO. That is when we discovered that Mayor Mashaba was a patron of the foundation, and then he was also appointed the chairperson of the foundation for 16 years, and he resigned in 2016, just before he became the mayor. And also that at the Lekgotla, which was in October last year, the mayor gave an instruction and recommended this NGO when the department was presenting the plan to curb drugs or the abuse of drugs in the city. He then suggested this NGO. At that same meeting, he even said that regions should contribute 500,000 each region, because this foundation wants an assurity of 3 years. So we are going to give them 3.5 per annum over 3 years, which will then be 10.5 over 3 years. Then that was interesting for us. The NGO then said, okay, they don't have expertise on the drug issues. They do other things, but they don't have expertise on the drug issues. Then they would want the city to assist them. Then the city assisted them and advised them to do a proposal. In their proposal, they put the amount of 10.5 million. So when the proposal was tabled at the mayoral committee, the finance team, because the finance MMC was also involved in the process.
The new one or the old one?
The former finance Dakata. He was also part of the process. So the finance team then suggested that no, 10.5 million is too little. They have to feature in inflation. Then the question we have as a committee is that this NGO is long in the field. They are more than 22 years, more than 20 years in existence. They should know that when you do a proposal, you also include the inflation. You estimate the inflation over the 3 years and you include it. So as a funder, the city as a funder, how does the city then increase the proposal or the proposed amount that is proposed by the NGO from 10.5 to 11 million? Because as a funder, you would negotiate the reduction, because you are funding.
I think, look, anyone has the right to be concerned if an issue of this nature is raised, but I think we should also then allow the mayor to give a response. So that, and he has made it quite clear that we have the right to refer to any other forum that would have to deliberate on the facts to decide if there's been any wrongdoing. I certainly understand where he comes from. In terms of whether there are broader issues, that needs to be determined. But I don't think this is the place and the time to act as judge and jury.
Extremely proud of my relationship with them. Unfortunately, 2015, when I took over the mayoral candidacy, I had to resign. It was very unfortunate. But it's an association. I'm actually personally I feel privileged to have had an opportunity to serve for 18 years. I think about 7 or 8 of it as a chairperson. I started as a patron, then I became a board member, and then eventually I was the chairperson. When I had to, one of the most difficult decisions I had to make when I accepted to take on the mayoral candidacy was to actually stop saving this organization. But my family continued supporting this foundation even up to today.
Nashina Mohammed for Joburg Today.
Yeah.